Hello everyone, this is Sunny, and I'm coming to you with Cruelest of Hearts, an Eyeless Jack X Reader by Vivian R. Vigou. We're going to be starting off with Chapter 15, Frozen Forest. The song that goes along with this episode is Hollywood Undead Save Me. I'm really liking all the songs they have implemented into here because I grew up on Hollywood Undead, and let me just say that between them and Get Scared and other things, all those creepypasta edits were hitting different. Anyways, let me get started with the episode. Cough, cough. Endless, the forest that was spreading all around you, reaching as far as the eye could see and towering well above you, was endless. Completely losing the track of time inside that maze of trees and snow, you were unable to discern if you were walking for an hour, a day, or even a few minutes. The moment your feet stopped shaking and managed to raise you up from the ground, giving the steady, ready-to-go signal to your brain. In the blink of an eye, you were running among the trees with all the power your fragile body and heart could provide you with. And paying no attention whatsoever to your surroundings, the thoughts of getting away from this hellish place blurring your mind and vision, fueled by your sheer terror and desperation. Who knew how much time you would have left until EJ came back? Who knew that maybe another one of the mansion's residences wouldn't find you and strike you dead? The only thing you knew was that you had to get out of there, and right in front of you spread your only chance to do that. The wide, hauntingly dark forest. There was no time to lose. You ran and ran, your feet sinking lightly inside the freshly fallen snow, and despite that, never failing to catapult you forward with power, making you venture into the darkness completely concealed by any prying eyes that might have been lurking around. Mostly because the storm that was waging on above your head was depriving the whole nature from any form of sound and light. The only thing that could be heard inside the mayhem of the thunders and lightnings was the cracking sound of some faraway tree that was hit by the elements and was torn in half, proceeding to burn down to the ground as if nature was really on your side today. No one would ever have been able to hear your heavy breaths, nor your small screams of anger mixed with the desperation when small shoots of pain would resonate from your heart every now and then. No, you knew that it would be no good to run like that, and the adrenaline serum would only enhance the risks of having another heart attack, something that you were unable to afford right now. You were not as far as you wanted due to recovering from the first heart attack, but you also weren't because the pain was slowing you down. If you hadn't taken a drug before you left, though, you would be dead a long time ago tonight, and you would have been left outside on the cold night air to be eaten up by either the animals or the monsters that lurked inside the forest. But after a while, you unwillingly reduced your speed running to just fast walking. It was humanely impossible to run anymore, and the only thing you had left was walking. The mansion could no longer be seen in the distance, but judging from the capabilities that EJ had, it wouldn't strike you as strange if you were still inside the vicinity of his abilities. You were sure that you would be unable to outrun him or manage to defend yourself, and boy oh boy, he would surely be pissed when he notices that you were gone. So further into the woods it was for you. Crippling your way among the trees, trying to listen out for any sudden and unpleasant surprises that the forest might be hiding from you, and trying to discern the different sounds among the destruction and deafening mayhem that was pounding all around, you kept in mind that as you made your way out of that window, you had managed to get a small glimpse of mountains and the far horizon straight ahead. If you managed to reach them, either by sheer luck or from a miracle, you knew you would be far away to consider yourself somewhat safe, if you were ever allowed to utter this particular word right now. If you just reached them, you would be able to find out where the campus was, or even civilization. Alas, the forest around you was still thick, and the way towards the said mountains was harder than you had at first expected. Your eyes surely took long enough to adjust to the complete lack of light and make out your surroundings, and every time a lightning flashed above you, submerging the woods into haunting variations of the color white and blue, it left you once again unable to see. There were many times that you had almost collided with unseen trees. The soft snow under your feet was obediently giving way a little bit under your steps, its perfect and pure whiteness stained by your feet that mixed mud and soil into it. The footsteps that you left behind were so faint that they were almost invisible, something that acted to your advantage since no one would be able to follow you. Yet despite your continuous struggle and fear that your life would shortly come to an end if you were discovered, your brain couldn't stop but keep a small fragment inside of it to admire the nightmarish beauty that was occupying the whole world around you. The pine trees were still holding on to their lavish foliage that was now covered by the snow, helping them completely submerge into the winter aura that they gave off and only add to the haunting vibes that they emanated. Mostly because the light was not enough to grace them with nothing but deep shadows, and they were tall. They reached far beyond 5 times your height and completely covered the dark stormy sky above you, leaving no opening for you to get a glimpse of the clouds. In the faint light of the lightnings, though, the blackness did not withdraw at all, and all the trees strangely seemed to be made out of the same coal-black trunks, raising curiosity inside your mind. Since you had never seen trees quite like that, you avoided touching them at all costs, fearing that they might come to life and snatch you, closing you inside of them and leading you to your death like the dark forest that we hear about in fairy tales or horror stories. No one really knew where the enemy might be hiding inside plain sight. And that feeling was not at all easy. when you noticed that shimmering silver mist was creeping among them, gently sliding on the ground, wrapping around the trunks and illuminating the whole place in an eerie silver light that disabled you from finding your path even more. The smell of humidity and chilling cold mixed with mold soon reached your nose as the mist was quick to arise all around you. Now nothing was safe, and you urged yourself to keep walking forward and not even look back once, in case the monsters had already spotted you and waited for their chance to get you. The small path that you were following was even harder to walk on now that you were failing to discern it, and you were vaguely aware that even if EJ or his friends were about to find you, you would never even see them coming. Within the cold but nonetheless soft embrace of the mist, all sounds seemed to siege. Even the storm above you was as if it had been silenced. Keeping the distressed thoughts away from your mind, you tried to refocus on matters at hand and think clearly, marshalling your thoughts on how to get out of here and how far you had reached within the forest. If you indeed made it out of here, you were absolutely not going back on campus. It would clearly be EJ's first stop when he would decide to come after you, and saying there would be utterly stupidity. Also, even if you were held captive for a month or two, as you calculated the days spent on that lab roughly, you were sure that the police would not believe you, or if you told them what happened, let alone with a complete lack of solid evidence. No. The police would only make things worse and surely drive EJ into finding you sooner or later. So there was one single thing you could do. Go back to your grandma's place. No one knew where she lived. There was no record of her in the campus or anywhere inside your stuff that you had left behind, so it would be best to go to her. Her house was far away from here, but with a little bit of luck and determination, you would be able to get back there, and more importantly, you knew that EJ would never find you there. It wouldn't be impossible, but it would be hard. And you knew you were absolutely sure that the Blue Mask Killer would chase after you the moment he notices that you were gone. And you were not stupid to think that he would ever stop, not until he had discovered you. I mean, you knew that he belonged to a clan of killers that lived inside the forest, and even if no one would ever believe you, it was clear that he would be unable to take the risk. Oh well, maybe if you change continents, he will be fooled and continue to search for you here. Tightening the black hoodie around your small frame, you mentally thank yourself for deciding to take his clothes before escaping. It was so penetratingly cold that even under all the cotton layers, you could still feel the touch of winter grazing your skin and tangling your breath inside your lungs. You only regretted the fact that you didn't take more of the clothes, but thinking about it, many layers could slow you down even more. A wild coughing fit bursts out of your lungs, making your hand fly to cover your mouth and your body to struggle staying up and walking. And as you finally walk inside a wide clearing, only to stumble upon a small river dividing the tree line in two. The wide stream of water wasn't steep or with a strong race of water, but it surely looked deep, since the water was completely black and gently flowing down its path towards the sea, melting the snow that had fallen on the riverbank. The two sides were connected only by a huge log that rested nonchalantly above the water, giving a narrow passageway to anyone that happened to be passing by, in this case, you. Swallowing hard, you pull yourself together, and you proudly make your way towards it, careful to see if the log would be able to withstand your weight and allow you to pass across it, or it would only lead you into falling inside the water. Testing it with your shaky foot, you see that it was indeed immovable. You smiled excitedly to yourself, almost feeling the sense of freedom filling the air around you as you stepped on the log and started walking. If you managed to get across, you'd make sure to find a way to push the log into the water, cutting off the ways to be easily followed and stall EJ if he was indeed coming after you. By the time you'd find a way to cross the river without touching the water, you would be even further away from this hellish man. But because the log was narrow, you had to refocus your mind to your actions, raising your hands on the side so that it would be easier to maintain your balance. One wrong step here and you would fall into the water before you even notice it. And adding the low temperature of the forest combined with your fragile heart, you would freeze to death within the hour. No, you would make it. You will finally be free. You would. Stepping on a certain spot of the log that was covered by mold and snow, your foot slips, and you are already falling. No, was the only thing you managed to scream before your back connects hard with the cold surface. Darkness consumes you as the water encloses you within it, and your eyes close tightly out of reflex, and your body shuts down all of its movements, allowing the water to drag you down towards the abyssal black bottom. And for a split second, no thought passes from your mind, rendering you unable to understand what was going on. You were just floating inside a gentle liquid that cleared your mind and allowed your heart to pound in your ears, her beat strong yet uneven. And once the single moment passes, you scream, bubbles of air rushing out of your open mouth, shortening your breath even more, and your back makes a perfect arc. Since thousands of needles are piercing through your skin, trying to shred you to pieces, it was the feeling of the cold water around you that immediately set you into motion, purely due to the natural instinct of self-preservation. Your hands eject themselves forward, desperately trying to get a hold of something or just urge you towards the surface. The very same time that your feet touch the bottom of the river and leaning in the front, they proceed to eject you with a powerful push towards the surface. Your head is almost immediately out of the water, and you open your mouth to inhale a sharp breath, filling your lungs with the oxygen they needed to survive. The bitter cold, though, makes it seem like you are inhaling needles once again, and your chest tightens, making you fall into another coughing fit. As you gaze around desperately, trying to find a way out, the clothes you were wearing are only dragging you back into the bottom, weighing you more and more with each passing second. just as if they were made out of concrete, and you had to get out of here now. This is bad. This is absolutely bad. You have done the biggest mistake someone can make when they're under below temperatures. Hypothermia is now even a greater foe than EJ himself, and you feel your heart sink inside your chest with the realization. The moment you get out of the water and walk to the other side of the river bank, the cold wind wraps around you, making your clothes stick onto you like a new layer of extra skin that you were unable to take off. Your whole body is shaking hard from the cold, and you have to tighten your jaw to the extreme in order to keep your teeth from knocking together. As you zest your clothes from the extra water and look around you, there is an urgent need to find a shelter and create a fire. But as you scan the woods, you realize that the only place a cave would be available is near the mountain. And by the looks of it, you had much more walking around until you could actually reach it. Damn it, I guess there is no choice, you mumble to yourself as you take a brief look behind you to see if there's anyone there, before pulling yourself together and you start walking again. I will make it. I have to make it. You repeat over and over again, frantically trying to urge yourself to continue the struggle and not give in yet. Hell, your own 2 feet are shaking like leaves in the strong wind, and you have unconsciously wrapped your hands protectively around your torso in an attempt to warm yourself up a little bit. You are absolutely not going to die inside this forest. Not now, not today. You are not going to die. It's just a bit of walking, and you will manage to get back to civilization. Manage to get away from this psychotic killer and end this nightmare once and for all. If someone was deserving happiness, that was definitely you, since fate had never been kind to you or favored you, except from when you were with Jack, giving you a shitty life, a shitty family, and now a shitty health. She owed you much more than what you owed her, and you were absolutely not subduing to her tonight. You would leave to see the sun rising, you will live to see another day, and you will make it out of this nightmarish forest tonight. It doesn't matter if your legs are shaking, if your once hot breath is now in the same temperature as the nature around you. All this was trivial. You've got this, and you will make it out, even if you have to crawl your way through the snow. Walking and walking and walking. Now time was completely lost around you. The storm that spread over your head and threatened to turn the night into day was still not releasing its maniacal fury upon the lands yet. You knew that this was only a matter of time. Everything around you was so silent, so still and frozen, that the only thing barely moving around was your own figure with your shoulders slouched and having to focus all of your attention to your feet in order to move them forward. Your state was nowhere even near getting better, but something inside of you was urging you to move. The will to live was still strong inside your mind, and your now calm heartbeat was accompanying you with the slightest bit of pain, or maybe you just couldn't feel it anymore. Yeah, it would be impossible for your heart not to ache right now, but it still didn't. Suddenly, the whole forest illuminated right in front of you. The darkness withdrew, and the shadows retreated into the farthest corners, as the whole scenery changed and transformed into the strong silver light that flooded everything upon the grounds. Gazing up, you saw the silver orb, the moon, shining brightly upon the firmament, protruding among threatening clouds that carried destruction and snow within. And then the forest was not as frightening as before, no. It was breathtaking and charming, coming straight out of a love poem that most lovesick poet came up with. Still, you just couldn't stop shivering. You couldn't find the strength to look up and smile. You were so tired, so low on energy that you were barely moving and your lungs were hyperventilating, trying to fight away the cold that had wrapped you inside his lethal embrace and continue walking all at the same time. Where was EJ? I mean, it must have been a couple of hours since you escaped, and he most definitely would be coming back to the mansion if not having discovered your escape already. Then why isn't he coming? Did your footprints disappear under the strong wind? Was he unable to find the trail you had taken? Whatever it was, you were safe for now, and the man was far away from you, all the way back to the other side of the forest. You had finally managed to get away from him, his crazy personality, his mercilessness, and the constant fear about your life. You had made it out. He could have easily killed you, though, back there, and you have to admit that he didn't. He could have left you to starve on that cold pavement inside the total darkness, but still, he didn't. He was kind enough to... What the hell are you saying? He wasn't kind, he tortured you. He kept you away from your friends and locked you up inside a cold lab to wait for the end inside the darkness. He was neither kind nor merciful. He was a monster. How could you possibly even think of that? Wait. Why are you walking towards a clearing? Didn't you turn left back there? Huh? I mean, at least he breathed slowly now, but why did you get confused back there? Or was it disorientation? You were confused about EJ and disoriented about where you were going. Yeah, that's it. Damn it, it's hard to move around right now. Even walking requires all of your strength. One foot in front of the other foot in the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you guess it's a good thing that he finally stopped shivering like crazy. You reminded yourself those lunatics that had completely lost it. You were still cold, though. And this hoodie seems like it's plastered on your skin. Wait, why did you raise your hands? Why are you taking the hoodie off? Isn't this bad? Oh, well, who knows anymore. At least the feeling of the hoodie against your skin was no more. Well, you guess it's time to get a little break, just enough to catch your breath. You were just a few feet away from the vast clearing, and from there you could easily see the mountain towering well above all other things, majestic and eloquently beautiful. The last ray of hope to get out of this place is right in front of you, and you just have to stop a little bit and rest. Because venturing around in the mountain will be tough, and the sleepiness that is eating your mind away is no good when you need to be alert. So, walking over to a huge pine tree, you softly sit down in front of it, and rest against the truck, sighing heavily. You were too tired, as it seemed. The moment you sat down, your hands fell on the sides, and you were unable to move them. Not even a little bit, and the same went for their feet as well. At least the hypothermia went away. It was a good call to take the hoodie off. You were also sleepy, barely able to keep your eyes open. It's okay, you'll just sleep for a bit and then continue. And before you knew it, your eyelids slipped closed. Wake up, YN. Wake up. Someone was speaking to you, but you barely even heard him as you floated away inside the unconsciousness of sleep. It was peaceful in there, without worries to pester your mind, or the penetrating cold to make you shiver, and for once, your heart was calm and beating evenly, like the times when she was still healthy and working so perfectly, like a true clock. So whoever the man was, he must be mistaking you for a fool if he really thinks that he can wake you up. Wake up, my love. We have to go, he repeated, this time a lot closer than before. Strangely enough, you were sure that you had heard this voice somewhere before. It brought back memories of a time when everything was perfect, and from the sudden flood of feelings that overwhelmed you, sleep was shortly washed away. Eventually, your eyelids flickered and opened wearily, and right beside you, standing only a step away from your fragile and freezing body, was a man, roughly around his early 30s. The beautifully bright night sky was illuminating his figure, making the light blur around the edges of the man's body, but nonetheless, you were able to see him clearly as he was smiling down to you with a certain smile that you were longing to see for 13 years now. Are you awake, my love? He asked again, kneeling down beside you. Hey, Daddy, you murmured with a smile. Long time no see. It was your dad. It was really your dad. Gazing upon him, you realized inside your blurriness that he was exactly like you remembered him. With his constantly tired brown eyes, his tall figure that was exceptionally muscular for his age, and that particular smile that always eased your worries away. Chasing all the demons that used to be a burden to you. Offering you a safe shelter to thrive and be the little innocent girl that you always were. And he was here after 13 whole years. He had fulfilled his promise and came back to you. He didn't lie to you. He had woken up at last, and now everything was going to be all right. What are you doing out here, darling? Don't you know that forests are dangerous? He asked, worry lacing his clear eyes. You smiled even more. I was looking for a way out, Daddy. Don't worry. What are you doing here? His face turned serious. I came to take you away, my love. Really? He sighed. It surely took you long enough. I couldn't come earlier, he confessed. It's okay, Daddy. I'm ready now. Can I ask you a favor, though? Whatever you want, Princess, he smiled. I want you to take me to where Jack is. Can you please do that? Take me to Jack? He pleaded. Instead of an answer, he stood up again, never failing to smile tenderly towards you, managing to wash away all of your fears once again. Then he raised his hand towards you and beckoned you to take it. I'll take you to Jack, Wyan, I promise. He reassured you. Take my hand. But before you were really able to raise your own and rested on your father's open one, your eyes closed once again. The canopy of trees was passing right in front of your eyes, their abundant leaves reaching until the faraway skies that spread them up beyond the foliage, trying to cover the majestic skies completely and deny their view from all life that was standing under them, but to no avail. The sky was grandly lightened up by the full moon that shed its light to the canopy, making it look like the leaves were luminescent. Fragments of stars that had fallen from grace and came to adorn Mother Nature herself. The distant suns and planets that were still gracing the endlessly dark firmament were either producing their light steadily, being the constant guidance for the people that needed them, or played around childishly by constantly flickering. All of them were nothing more than distant dreams, distant memories, and destinies that were never to be fulfilled as they were never to be reached. Infinite and unattainable, just like happiness, you thought dizzily. You were walking among the trees. No, you were being carried among the trees by two sturdy arms that followed a path that was invisible to you, leading you on with you being unable to move to see who it was. Your heart was pounding loudly inside your chest, and you were no longer cold, no. You were not cold, just glad. Glad that the smell of pepper and chocolate was once again blurring your senses. You were crying. Hot tears were cascading down your extremely pale skin, and you were unable to do anything about it. As you clutched the black fabric of the man's hoodie with everything you had, your tears staining it, but nonetheless paying no attention to trivial matters like that. Nothing mattered to you anymore. Everything had frozen up inside of you, and you were unable to do anything but cry from all the sheer happiness that overwhelmed your fragile heart. Jack, Jack. You cried again and again as the man carried you down still. You're finally back, Jack. I missed you so much, so much. You allowed a sob to burst through your chest. I was so lonely, Jack, without you. He was back. He had finally returned and found you. You were sure about it. Even your mind was blurry, and you were barely able to keep yourself conscious. You wouldn't mistake the smell of pepper and chocolate, not even if you had lost your sense of smell, and that aroma belonged only to Jack. You were Jack. I was so lost without you. EJ carried your unconscious body down the narrow forest path calmly and emotionlessly, paying absolutely no attention if you were comfortable inside his arms or not. The male killer was completely withdrawn inside his own thoughts, listening to your continuous blabbering as you tossed and turned restlessly inside his arms, suffering under your severe hypothermia and shivering like a heart that was torn off its chest and taking its final beats before death welcomes it. And it was the very first time that EJ was beyond his own self with anger. This night had started on good terms, making sure that Wyan was carefully tucked inside the blankets he provided and with her hand safely tied to the arm of the medical table. There was absolutely no chance for her to run away. He had been very careful with her in the past week that she was unconscious, mainly because he did not wish to lose his experiment just yet. And when she finally woke up, he made sure that she would be unable to move from the chair, but then again, she didn't seem eager to even try whatsoever. So, with a reassured, deranged mind, he went about with his preparations for the upcoming hunt. His supplies were running dangerously low, and the need to kill had started slowly bubbling up inside of him. Taking whatever he needed, he exited his room and ventured out into the night without paying the slightest attention to the thunders that were echoing above his head. His excellent senses told him that the storm wouldn't strike until dawn, so he had plenty of time to hit town for his hunt, and since the forest was completely silent, he managed to escape an ugly meeting with a rake. The hunting had gone surprisingly smoothly, and before he even knew it, his jars were filled with the various organs of his liking, rendering the stash complete and able to feed him for a week or two if he didn't get any greedy with his food. He had also snatched some medicines like morphine and some others, since Wyan seemed to be in constant need of them, and he would like to keep spare ones just to be sure. Luckily, he didn't run into any trouble at all, and by the time he entered the forest, he felt somewhat exhausted for the first time in a while. He decided to return to the mansion, check up on Wyan, put away his jars, and he would finally be able to relax a bit. But all those dreams turned to utter stone when he finally reached the mansion's premises, and his empty stare fell on a cloth line that led all the way up to his bedroom window. He had stopped dead on his tracks, and the bag left his arms as reality settled in, and he realized what was going on. Wyan had escaped. In a matter of seconds, the always calm and collected killer had given in to his insanity, turning completely to the demon that was lurking inside his soul. He was angry. Angry that you got away, angry that he believed that the precautions he took would stop you, only to find you literally mocking him in front of his face. One single sniff of the cold air was enough to pick up your scent, and he found himself running at full speed inside the forest in a matter of seconds, following you solely by your scent that was somehow mixed with his own rather than following your traces. He mustn't have gone far. The forest was endless and a labyrinth like you. A deteriorated heart condition wouldn't allow you to run as fast as you could have. The fleeting doe was always slipping away from his grasp, but if he did find you this time, he would make sure that you would be unable to run from thereafter. That, of course, if he didn't kill you on the spot and went on with eating your organs. And he did find you. Barely a few meters away from the river, he found you laying against a tree, your eyes closed and your skin utterly pale. Your breathing was almost non-existent, and your pupils were dilated completely. He didn't need the wet clothes to realize that you were suffering from severe hypothermia, and you were already dying. But just as he had warned you, you weren't allowed to die if he didn't tell you so. Taking off his dry hoodie, he passed it on to you, and then picked you up bridal style, taking the way back towards the mansion, checking every now and again with his senses to make sure you weren't dead, yet after a while, you started blabbering incoherently. It wasn't until after a bit of time, once he was sure that you weren't in the brink of death, that you started talking clearly, calling out to your friend and crying against his chest. Alas, he had to admit that it was strange to see you cry. It was strange not to see the fire burning in your eyes and your facade completely thrown away, only to reveal a heartbroken and vulnerable human that was calling out for her friend. Completely submerged inside the sadness, it pacified his anger just a tiny bit, but that didn't mean he dropped his plans for you. From the moment he was given one, he was eager to try out that medical saw. That is the end of that chapter. The chapter after that one is chapter 16, Release Me to Heaven. I am so sorry for the stuttering. It's hot, so I don't know if you guys can hear the fan in the background. Our AC is still broken, but hopefully you guys will not be able to hear it. And I am probably going to listen in on this, but oh well. I will see you guys in the next episode. Let me know how you guys feel about that, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.